Russian oil industry will not recover fast. Brave new world united by dictators while the US awaits. Russian offensive failed and resulted in massive casualties during the summer. Let's dive into the full story. This is The Gaze, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our content. Dictatorship is evil, amongst other obvious things, because it despises human life in general and the core value of it, freedom, in particular. And that is exactly why dictatorial regimes tend to be brutally more efficient than democratic ones. Democracy is naturally overburdened with numerous restrictions and rules. It is bindered with laws, morals, ethics, and does its impossible best to consider not to infringe any social strata to take into account any truth social. While dictatorship is free from all that. It is free because you are not. There are no you in dictatorship. You've lost your right to choose freely because you did not defend it, because you were weak. And so the dictatorship came and made the choice for you. While Donald Trump, as a Republican leader of democratic world, is doing his best to ace on a golf field, dictators and wannabes gathered on the fields of Shanghai and showed their own ace all right. They are getting ready. They are getting ready to do what dictatorship always does, to dictate its will to the world. And the leader of a Western world, will the President of the United States, Donald Trump, be able to do more about it than posting some of his truth on social networks and play golf? All the history of mankind clearly shows it is the weak who start the wars. The weak induce it by not reacting in time and in a proper manner to what evil does, by being volatile to evil, by not paying enough attention when evil unites and becomes stronger, by tossing weakness as a morality and not answering with brutal force when it was exactly a brutal force needed the most. The weak induce wars by trying to appease evil, by trying to talk sense to it. Dictatorship cannot be talked sense to. Dictators take all your talks for what it actually is, weakness, and act accordingly. Only a month ago, Trump was rolling the red carpet before Putin, and now he's talking about the great military union of Russia and North Korea. Donald Trump boasted of his friendship with Putin and Kim Jong Un, promising to weaken China through economic deals with Russia and North Korea. But the SCO summit in Tianjin and the Grand Military Parade in Beijing on September 3rd showed that Trump failed to repeat Kissinger's diplomatic success. On the contrary, Russia, China, and North Korea only strengthened the alliance. The signing of the Power of Siberia-2 gas pipeline agreement at the SCO summit, which Beijing had long avoided due to Western pressure, is proof of this.
I would like to know that your soldiers fought courageously and heroically. I would like to know that we will never forget the sacrifices made by your armed forces and the families of your servicemen. I would like to thank you on behalf of the Russian people for this participation in the joint fight against modern neo-Nazism. I ask you to convey the warmest words of gratitude to all the people of the Korean Democratic Republic.
As dictators know, the only time to act is here and now, as there is no other time. And while the West plays golf and invests time in speeches, meetings, summits, United Nations Security Councils, and other synonyms of show-off, uselessness, and criminal inaction, the dictators just could not be more happy about it. Not all truth can be considered social. For example, who is responsible for Vladimir Putin having made a doormat out of Matador Donald Trump? The answer is, it does not matter. What matters is the only truth social worth remembering these days. The war between dictatorship and democracy is coming, and whoever wins, it just won't happen on Truth Social. August turned out to be a hot month for Russia, as Ukrainian drones repeatedly struck major oil refineries energy facilities, and ports on the Baltic and Black Seas. Among the affected sites were the Novokuybishevsk, Afipsky, Syzran, and Novoshoptinsk refineries, the Druzhba oil pipeline, and the Ust-Luga terminal. According to Reuters, Ukraine has knocked out at least 17% of Russia's refining capacity. The Russian government extended its ban on gasoline exports until September 30th for producers and October 31st for non-producers. Gasoline prices are climbing, and in some regions, including Zabaikalsky Krai and occupied Crimea, fuel is already being sold via ration cards. The cumulative effect of these strikes is significant, while exact figures remain classified. Expert Taras Zagorodny says, "For Russia, this is extremely painful. It strikes at oil refining and its ability to supply fuel. With autumn coming and temperatures dropping, demand will rise, making the situation even worse."
Russia continues to feel the economic impacts of secondary sanctions against Russian oil and gas importers, and of recent Ukrainian strikes against Russian oil refineries. Bloomberg reported on September 2nd that sources who received offers from Russian crude oil exporters stated that Russian exporters are offering Urals crude to Indian importers at a discount of $3 to $4 per barrel, compared to Brent on a delivered basis for cargo shipments in late September to October 2025. Bloomberg reported that sources stated that Russian exporters were offering Indian importers a discount of around $2.50 a barrel during the week of August 24 to 30, and a discount of $1 in July 2025, from the ISW report on their website.
Signs of crisis are already visible. Gasoline is being rationed in Crimea and other regions, and panic buying could spread nationwide. Businesses dependent on fuel are suffering, inflation is accelerating, and restoring high-quality fuel production is almost impossible under current conditions. By autumn, Russians will feel it clearly. Food prices will rise, and some regions will face shortages. But that's only the beginning. The real impact is still ahead. For now, the government prioritizes big cities to delay public unrest, but cumulative damage will not go away. And Ukraine is still pumping up domestic missile and drone production to be able to guarantee its own security without relying solely on the partner states.
We are preparing a TAC General Staff meeting with the participation of manufacturers of Ukrainian missiles, key types of drones and air defense tools. We will increase the production of our weapons. The quality of Ukrainian deep strikes should increase significantly. Volodymyr Zelensky, President of Ukraine, on Telegram.
Restoring damaged refineries is nearly impossible without Western equipment. For example, replacing a single rectification column can take a year, even in peacetime. And under sanctions, it's practically unfeasible. Russia simply doesn't have the means to repair this quickly. And Russians need that fuel for their offensive operations in Ukraine, while they continue the war. Russia is preparing for an autumn offensive. This is evidenced by a large-scale regrouping of occupation forces on the front line, according to analysts at the Institute for the Study of War. The summer campaign ended in failure, with the Russian command unable to achieve the goals set by the Kremlin. Russia is suffering significant losses on the front line, especially in terms of manpower. In August 2025 alone, the aggressor country's army lost about 2 divisions in killed and wounded. According to the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, Yulia Granobskaya will continue with this topic.
Nearly 30,000 Russian troops were killed in August 2025 alone, according to Ukraine's Ministry of Defense. Ukraine's defense forces also destroyed 3,500 vehicles and fuel trucks over the course of the month.
Despite a noticeable decrease in the enemy's use of heavy armored vehicles due to their vulnerability on the battlefield, our troops continued to actively hunt Russian armor throughout August. By the end of summer, the Russian army had lost 87 tanks and 161 armored combat vehicles, from official website of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine.
Russia's North Korean ally is also suffering significant losses. According to South Korean intelligence, around 2,000 North Korean soldiers have been killed while fighting in Russia's war against Ukraine. Pyongyang is reportedly preparing to send fresh reinforcements.
South Korea's National Intelligence Service reports that North Korea is expected to send another 6,000 troops to Russia as part of a third deployment in support of Moscow's war in Ukraine. Since October of last year, approximately 13,000 North Korean soldiers, along with conventional weapons, have been sent to aid Russian military operations, from South Korea's Yonhap news agency.
Heavy personnel losses and failed advances. That's the outcome of Russia's summer offensive campaign, according to military analysts.
Over the course of the entire summer campaign, Russia managed to capture just 1% of territory. That says a lot. If this were a different war, in a different century, that might be considered a success, but not here.
Russia's attempts to seize Pokrovsk have also failed. According to Ukraine's general staff, Ukrainian forces repelled 39 Russian attacks in that direction in just the past 24 hours.
There is a significant concentration of Russian troops in the area. At one point, they attempted to encircle Pokrovsk from both the north and the south. There were real concerns that if the gap between these two Russian groupings, then about 15 kilometers, were to shrink, our forces might need to retreat. A distance of 6 to 8 kilometers would be critical, but that 15-kilometer gap has held steady, meaning the situation has stabilized. In fact, our counterattacks are gradually reclaiming territory that had previously been lost.
The US-based Institute for the Study of War has also confirmed that Russia is preparing for a renewed autumn offensive, focusing on Donetsk Oblast, particularly around Dobropilya, Pokrovsk, and Kostiantynivka. At the same time, Moscow is deprioritizing operations in Sumy Oblast, redeploying troops to the Donetsk front.
The Russian military command reportedly redeployed relatively elite naval infantry and airborne VDV forces to Donetsk Oblast from northern Sumy Oblast and the Kherson direction. A Ukrainian drone unit operating in the Pokrovsk direction reported that the Russian military command redeployed several units from Kursk Oblast, including elements of the 155th Naval Infantry Brigade Pacific Fleet, to reinforce Russian offensive operations toward Dobropilya, from the Institute for the Study of War report.
Alongside preparations for its autumn offensive, the Kremlin continues its nuclear blackmail of the international community. During a recent Collective Security Treaty Organization military drill in Belarus, scenarios involving the use of nuclear weapons were rehearsed, according to the chief of the Belarusian General Staff. The joint exercises began on August 31st and will run through September 6th. And just a few days later, on September 12th, Russia and Belarus will launch the joint military exercise, Zapad 2025, reported by Yulia Granovska, UATV News.
I urge you to join the fight for freedom and sovereignty. Subscribe to our channel and stay tuned to what is happening in the world, presented from Ukrainian perspective. Hope to see you very soon. Stay tuned. Goodbye.